Hello and welcome to hopefully a good introduction on how to rocket jump and how to air strafe. So, I'm just going to teach you Soldier and then Demo Man and then show you a couple things with Pyro and then show you how all other classes benefit from air strafing. So, currently I'm just going to be using the original, which is the exact same as the normal rocket launcher except that it fires from the center of the screen, not from your right shoulder. The gunboats, which mean you take less damage from rocket jumps. A normal rocket jump will do 40 to 50 damage, a gunboat rocket jump will only do about 15 damage to yourself. So if you're going to be doing a lot of jumping, it's usually beneficial to just use the gunboats. So, a jump consists of basically two parts. One is the jump, and the second is controlling yourself while you're in the air. So when you jump, it's jump, fire a rocket at your feet. That's your basic jump. Just jumping and firing a rocket at your feet can get you onto this platform. This is about the height of just jumping and firing at your feet. This is good practice for that kind of jump. To get more height, you jump, crouch, and then fire a rocket at your feet. This platform is about the maximum you can reach with that kind of a jump. It's just about... It is a little bit hard to get it, but it is the maximum that you can reach here. Also, the crouching is important to hold down the entire time if you're doing a jump that might be hard to reach. Because what crouching does, it brings your legs up towards your model. So your torso in the middle of a rocket jump, your torso stays the same. Your torso will be following the same trajectory no matter what if you're crouched, not crouched, or crouched somewhere in between. However, if you crouch somewhere in between, your legs move up towards your torso. So your legs won't catch on some sort of wall and not make you, and keep you from actually making it all the way up. That's why crouching is important. It can be used for any class to just crouch and just barely clear an obstacle. Now, those are the basic parts of a rocket jump. Jumping, crouching, firing a rocket at your feet, all at the same time. It's just in one fluid motion. Now, firing at your feet gets you height. Firing at a wall will get you distance. If you go somewhere in between, like a 45-degree angle behind you like this, you'll get some sort of distance and height, and it's just kind of a flick. It's hard to see, but if you get used to this little flick, you can just do jumps that get you somewhere faster, because Soldier is the second slowest class in the game. You can also do something which is called a pogo jump, which is jumping off of a wall and then jumping off of the ground. It essentially flies you forwards. I'm not great at them, I'm getting better at them though, but that's a little bit more advanced. It takes a lot of practice, but it's great to do in a game when you're actually used to it. Now let's just teleport ourselves back here. Okay. Now, that's the first part of the jump. It's the jump. It's shooting a rocket, knowing where to shoot the rocket around you to get where you want to go, and getting to your destination hopefully without taking fall damage. It's important to try not to take fall damage when you're jumping, and knowing this is a jump that I should crouch for, or that's a jump that I shouldn't crouch for. Because if you crouch for this jump and you go way too high, you can take fall damage on the way down, and you don't want that. You always want to minimize the damage you take to yourself while still getting to your location. Now, on to the strafing. Strafing is the strange part about rocket jumping. Everything, for all these explosions that propel you forwards, that's the normal part, and it's the easy part to wrap your head around. Strafing is weird. The way you strafe as any character, not just when you're rocket jumping, it's just when you're in the air and moving. I'm going to demonstrate by jumping off of this area. Now, if I wanted to curve in this direction, I would hold A and move my mouse gradually to the left while I'm falling, like so. So normally, just running straight, you end up here. Mark that with an explosion or two. So there's my two explosions. If I just run forward and hold left, hold A and move my mouse to the left, I end here. Those were the initial ones. Here's where I ended. So I did more of a curve like that. To move right, you do the same thing only with D and moving your mouse to the right. So D, move mouse to the right. If you're crouching during this, it doesn't make any difference as to what you're doing. That's without a crouch, and that's with a crouch. It's the same sort of thing. Crouching just gets you more distance from the initial blast. Now with Soldier, rocket jumping is important, and the jumping is what determines roughly where you're going to be. The strafing is what narrows down exactly where you land, so you can land exactly where you want to. Let's say if you were jumping onto this platform without strafing, you're just going to be doing this a lot. Missing, 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 and then eventually maybe making it. With strafing, you can just say, okay, I was going to miss, but I'll strafe onto the platform. That's why strafing is important as a soldier. It teaches you to manage to land exactly where you want. Now, that's your basic jumping as soldier. Onto the demo man. First off, we're going to be using your normal sticky bomb launcher to show you normal jumping. Come on, switch over. There we go. One sticky. Usually all you're going to want to use with this. A sticky will do 50 to 60 damage to you. This is a lot of damage for a jump. Now, depending on where you are around the sticky when you detonate it, it's the same as with the soldier. You jump, only you detonate by pressing mouse 2 instead of just firing a rocket next to you. That's how the sticky works. You get a lot more distance when you're using Demo Man, and strafing is a much larger part of it. So if you're directly above the sticky, you get a lot of height, but not a lot of distance. If you're side of this, if you don't hit something, if you're about 45 degrees and to the side of the sticky, you do that. If it's on a wall next to you, you get a lot of distance, but not a lot of height. This can be a very, very good thing when you're playing Demo Man, because then you won't take fall damage. Now, while the positioning from the sticky is an important part of this, there we go. The strafing is a much larger part of sticky jumping than it is with rocket jumping, because you get so much distance and so much area that you can jump in. You can actually make a pretty much full circle. I believe you actually can make a full circle if you don't have as much speed. Yeah, there you go. You can easily make a full circle with a sticky jump. And also, if you use 2 stickies from maximum health, you will just barely survive the jump. But, oh yes, crits do not do any extra damage to you. They only hurt opponents more. They don't matter for you. 2 stickies is all you will ever really need. If you use 3 with the normal sticky jumper or sticky launcher, you will kill yourself. Now, moving from that slight misspeak, the sticky jumper. This doesn't do any damage to you or to your opponents. It is only for jumping. That being said, you can jump anywhere and you gain a lot of mobility by using this. You just also lose all the damage you'd normally be able to do with stickies. So, that being said, you start to essentially fly. Now, triple sticky jump ends up like this usually. You'll end up hitting something. And what you usually, sadly, see a lot of people that are new to the sticky jumper do, they'll just throw down 8 stickies with the thought, okay, this is going to get me really, really far. And yes, it will get you really, really far, but you will also lose all control you had, and you won't end up exactly where you wanted to be. Suddenly, oh hey, I'm here. I went a total of from here to here without any sort of control over my movement. Whereas if I use 1 sticky, there we go, I got farther than I did with those 8. Usually, you only want to use 2, because 2 can propel you, if I use the 2 correctly, 2 can propel you all the way across this level. And this is a big, big open level. 3 can also propel you all across this level, and you still have some turning functionality, but anything over 3 is usually just plain too much. If you want to practice your air strafing, it's probably better to practice with Demo Man. If you just want to practice jumping with rockets, it's best to practice with Soldier, because rocket jumping is good and you can do it a lot faster than you can with the sticky jumper, but the sticky launcher or sticky jumper, you get a much better practice on how to strafe in the air. It's the same as with the Soldier. Also, you can technically strafe backwards. Everyone says, everyone says when you are strafing, let go of W. The first thing you should do is let go of W. And yes, this is usually a good thing to say, but a little bit later I'll get into why sometimes it's good to hold W. Sometimes, and usually in most jumps, you want to let go of W, but sometimes it's good. You can also jump backwards. It's done somewhat, well, backwards. You start moving backwards. If you want to turn this way, you need to hold D, meaning I'm moving that way, but you want to move your mouse to the left instead of to the right. It's the exact opposite of what you would if you were moving that way. That way you'd move your mouse to the right, this way you move your mouse to the left. And if you want to move this way, if you're being moved backwards, you need to hold A and then move your mouse to the right instead. That's how sticky jumping works, or air strafing works in general. Air strafing is a little bit weird to get used to, but once you're used to it, you have a lot more control. Now, holding W puts that center point. Okay, let's say you were holding D makes you turn that way or that way if you're going backwards. Imagine this as a half circle. D is that center. If you're holding A, there's a half circle, and A over here is the center. If you're holding W, there's a half circle like this, and W is the center over here. It's kind of weird to get around, but you end up going your crosshair will be over some point that you're going to be rotating around. That is why I say holding W isn't a bad thing while you're jumping. It won't move you much of anywhere, but you will keep your crosshair pointed towards something. That is why I say holding W isn't a bad thing. Now, on to the Pyro. The Pyro can jump in three different ways, really. One is by using an air blast. Since an air blast can reflect a rocket, you see a rocket coming towards you, you can sidestep it, reflect it behind you, and jump off of that, using the same method that you would with a soldier's jump. This is kind of weird and hard to do. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's really fun when you actually manage to do it. The other two ways involve weapons. The detonator. This, left click, and then you right click to detonate. However, if you just left click at the ground at your feet, it'll detonate it immediately and make you jump. Normally, your jump only does this. However, if you want to jump over something, don't forget to hold crouch, because that'll get you a bit more distance and height, and it'll also put your legs up so that you'll definitely clear your target. If I don't hold crouch, my legs end up hitting this, and my knees hit that. If I hold crouch, my knees clear it. Now, the detonator will do 40 damage every single time you shoot it like this, so remember that. Don't spam these jumps. They do a significant amount of damage to you. Another weapon that you can use is the Scorch Shot for jumping. This only does 15 damage to you per jump, but your jumps are much, much weaker. You can only barely clear this sign, and I really mean barely clear this sign. The Scorch Shot can, the damage to yourself is much better compared to the detonator, but the jumps themselves are a little bit weaker. So that's the pyro and jumping. You can reflect, and detonator and scorch shot can jump, but scorch shot barely, but you take 15 damage. Now I'm going to go over scout and strafing. Scout doesn't really have jumps. Technically you can use the Boston Basher to jump yourself around and kind of fly around, but in a real game this will completely kill you. So, good practice for air strafing in a normal game if you're just playing scout. Find a line and strafe around it. Jump, strafe. So, say you're running out to the fight after dying, strafe around a straight line. You'll be moving in the same direction, same speed, but you'll be getting the good practice of quickly switching from holding W to holding a directional so that you get used to jumping around and strafing. Also, you know how I said W is good to hold when you're strafing sometimes? It's really good for scout when you're being erratic and very close range, because holding W and jumping can keep your target in your cursor the entire time that you're jumping and you're suddenly jumping around them. You can also hold W and D and W and A and kind of do different jumps like that. It's a much larger radius and a lot weirder to jump with, but it is possible. It's a strange jump. However, holding W and just W can keep your target in your crosshair the entire time while you're air strafing. This is why air strafing is important for every class, because you can always use another soldier's rocket to jump away from something. Like if you're a scout and you're all on your own and suddenly a soldier comes in, if you know that you have enough health to survive the jump, you can wait for him to fire a rocket at you, look at where it's going to hit the ground, and jump off of that. You're a very light class, so you will go flying, and you can negate the fall damage by just using your double jump before you hit the ground. And suddenly you are out of the area and the soldier can do nothing about it. Again, air strafing is important for every class, but jumping can be only important for soldier, demo, and pyro sometimes. Other than that, I think that's everything to jumping. Have fun!